How you doing out there, folks? Yes, it's me, the Invisible Man versus Merrick, Bank, and the Robot, Part 30. Well, that's how many so far. With this disguise, that is. I've done more about the harassing phone calls and other videos. So this all started because I was being harassed by Merrick Bank. Is what it comes down to. And anything associated with it, that's what I'm doing, why I'm doing this. I am trying to reach people who are being harassed by Merrick Bank or any bank, really. It's the same thing, the harassment. They may do a little bit different technique or whatever, but it's still the same thing. Now, in these videos, I have been putting songs on there recently. The only reason I'm doing it because it's just to break up the monotony. Because if you listen to one of my videos already, they're pretty much the same thing. I may mention something in one and not the other. But I thought by putting the song on, you can listen to the song, and maybe you might want to listen to the video. Okay, so the song I'm picking this time is There's a Heaven in the Sky Above. I've already put it on before. The only difference was that was a version by George Liberace. This version is by Hollywood Music Productions. It's completely different. I mean, when I'm sending those lyrics out over 40 years ago, well, you really don't know what you're going to get. George Liberace's the demos, as you might call it, they were pretty good. They could almost have been released, as a song, because they use contracted singers. They all do. And even though I'm paying for the service and all, so they give me credit for the music and, the words, because I wrote the words. But as far as the singer goes, they don't count. They paid that contracted singer. So even though over 40 years later, the singer that did these demos, they have nothing to do with this. They don't count. They can't come forward and say they want a percentage of, if I would, have a big hit or something. I thought I'd mention it because I'm putting these songs on there now. If someone would be interested in any of the lyrics, well, you can just contact me. But I'm doing now a duet, trying to. Like I say, my voice ain't what it used to be, because I took singing lessons at all. When me and Marie started together over 40 years ago. So I know she could sing, she could play the piano by ear and everything, when I was writing the songs. So I started it, and she even told me that I should do it. So finally I come back from work one day and I surprised her. I said, Marie, I started singing lessons. She said, what? How can you? We're at work. I said, yeah, I was walking around the corner there and I looked up and on the second floor I saw a sign, vocal studio, So I figured, well, I went upstairs, I talked to the guy. He didn't charge that much. I said, yeah, if you want to take a couple of lessons a week. I said, I work right around the corner. He said, oh, that's good, you could come here. It was pretty nice, and he asked me, "You have any?" I said, "No, I have no singer experience at all. I just writing the songs." He said, "Do you like any songs that you like?" I said, "Yeah, there's songs that I like, old songs, nothing new." And he asked me a few questions. He said, "Do you know about the scales?" And I said, "Yeah, I know what the scales are. I never really paid much attention to it." So he said, I want to do the scales. He said, "I'm not charging you for this visit, so it's just to get acquainted with you and see, the way I'm going, the approach I'm going to use with you." I said, "Okay. I just want to see if I could sing my songs and maybe other songs that I like, but not. I didn't really want to become a singer. This wasn't for that. It was for just like a hobby or something." Okay, so he told me the scales, and he said, "Frank, do you want to try it?" So I said, "Okay." So I'm going to try to do it here. I don't know how it's going to come out. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. He said, "Frank, it wasn't bad." I said, "Well, he said, you can do it. If you can do the scales, you can pretty much sing any song." So he said, you have a song you want to let me hear you sing?" I said, "Well, I don't know any complete song. I could give you, I'll just give you a few lines of a song that I like, and that, Okay, he said, you want to try it?" I said, "Okay, I'll try it." If I had Aladdin's lamp for only a day, I'd make a wish, and here's what I'd say. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. But Frank, it's not bad, you know. You might not even need lessons. I said, yeah, I could sing songs that I like, maybe. He said, okay, so I set it up with him, and I started taking lessons and all. And when I went home, I was driving Marie crazy. She said, oh, my goodness, you with these lessons. Because at home, I'm doing all those scales, and I'm doing all this stuff at home. Marie was saying, oh, I don't know. I hate to tell you, Frank, you know, after a while, if you're driving me crazy with it, not only that, you're no better than you were when you started. I said, well, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a professional singer. He said, you're better for broadcasting, definitely. You might be able to sing a few songs. Like, you could sing songs that I possibly couldn't sing. You know, the deep voice songs. Yeah, that's possible. You know, I can't say that you can't. You can sing some songs. But she really wasn't encouraging me too much. So I said, okay, Marie, then, you know, that was it. So I kept doing that for a while. You know, I was getting, you know, when I was taking those lessons, I was getting the cassette, you know, and I'd take it home and play it. And I still have all those cassettes, you know, with all those lessons on it. So I might dig them out again later on. So, okay, back to this now. I'm going to try, like I say, do this duet. The whole thing with this duet, I have the volume set, you know, on the player here, but I'm trying to make my voice low enough so you could hear both. I'm actually going to try to use my voice to regulate the way the duet sounds. Okay, there's a heaven in the sky above. I'll explain a little bit about it after, but I think I better get something to drink. Let's see what I got here. Got some lemonade this time. Let me try it. Not bad. A little more. Okay, you know, this, you have heat on and all, it dries out your throat and all. Okay, I'm going to try this now. I'm going to try to do the duet first, and then let it play again. This earth you live and love, and sometimes even need a shove. If you learn to swallow your pride, you'll be able to live with your neighbor side by side. But there's a heaven in the sky above, and there's much more to life than just love. No matter how much you earn, there's always plenty to learn. The days and nights go by, we never question why, 'cause we know there's a heaven in the sky above. People have likes and people have hates, but what really matters is how you live your life before you enter the pearly gates, the heaven in the sky above. Say that the earth is round, but it doesn't mean to this earth you are bound. No matter who you are, every time you look at a star, you know that there's a heaven in the sky above, and there's much more to life than just love. In these days of fast-paced living, doesn't seem much time for giving. But if you care, you'll want to share in that heaven in the sky above. Springtime brings the flowers, and birds sing their song. You know that you belong to heaven and the sky above. And there's much more to life than just love.
On this earth you live and love, and sometimes even need a shove. But if you learn to swallow your pride, you'll be able to live with your neighbor, side by side. 'Cause there's a heaven in the sky above, and there's much more to life than just love. No matter how much you earn, there's always plenty to learn. As the days and nights go by, we never question why, 'cause we know there's a heaven in the sky above. People have likes and people have hate, but what really matters is how you live your life before you enter the pearly gate in the heaven in the sky above. They say that the earth is round, but it doesn't mean to this earth you are bound. No matter who you are, and every time you look at a star, you know there's a heaven in the sky above, and there's much more to life than just love. In these days of fast-paced living, that doesn't seem much time forgiven. But if you care, you'll want to share in the heaven in the sky above. Springtime brings the flowers, and birds sing their song. And then you know that you belong to the heaven and the sky above. And there's much more to life than just love.
Okay, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, it's not that easy, you know. I mean, if anybody took one of my songs and tried to do that, I think you might have a problem. I mean, I know the lyrics pretty much, but again, the way the singer inflects the words and all. So yeah, that's just something that I wanted to try. I figured it's a good way to do it, since these harassing phone calls can be kind of boring. So I figured I'll put that on there, and that way I'm going to be doing that more. I like trying to do that duet. It's a lot easier for someone to take one of my songs. I have the lead sheet, and all they have to do is maybe change the music and then get someone to sing a duet and make a demo or a recording. Now that particular song, if you listen to it, there's a lot of lyrics, because Marie inspired that song. I mentioned this before, I think. Yeah, we talk about this song. This is way after this, I wrote the song. But before, when we were talking about, in the beginning, I was still writing the songs after we went together, but I kind of stopped it, I started to get out of it, But we were discussing it, and she asked me a question, because we're both, Catholic and all. And Marie prays a lot and everything. She believes in God and all. She said, Frankie, is there a heaven in the sky above? I said, Marie, yes, anybody that believes in God and the Bible, it's in the Bible. So she said, oh, okay, I just, well, Marie, where do you think it would be? Down below? No, I just thought of that, But by the way, You think you could write a song about it? I said, yeah, I guess I could, you know. But that's why you mentioned that. That's the title. There's a heaven and the sky above. You gave it to me. By asking me that question, she said, oh, yeah. You would use that as the title. I said, yeah. And she said, you know, I said, I'm going to write down. I wrote down a few things because I always have paper there. So I was talking to her, you know, while she was saying all that. I said, yeah, I'm just thinking of a few lines already. And I wrote down, they say that the earth is round, but it doesn't mean to this earth you are bound. And because you know that if you're going to go to heaven, you're not going to be on earth. You're not bound to stay here. Eventually, you know, you're going to pass away at some point in time. He said, yeah, that's a good line to put in there. And I thought of some other lines, and I said, yeah, this is going to be a little bit difficult, this song, because, you know, I got to be careful what I say. You know, it's a religious song. I can't, you know, I got to make it have a lot of good things in it, you know, to give people to believe more, you know, in that. And if they're good and all, they're going to go to heaven. And so I sent out the lyrics and all. I sent it to George Liberace. I started sending that lyrics for that song all over. Got gospel music down. So I have a lot of versions of that song. This particular version that you just heard, it's just simple, you know. It's more like a test recording. So I just want to bring all that up. Now, you know, all this that I'm doing here with this harassing phone calls, you know it's not scripted. Definitely not scripted. And I don't have a teleprompter, like, you know, even when I'm doing those songs, I know it, you know, I know all that. I don't even practice those songs or nothing, but I know them pretty good. As far as anything else, what am I looking at, a teleprompter? When I'm wearing sunglasses, I'm going to read a teleprompter? No, I don't need it. It's not needed for this particular subject matter, you know. The purpose of all this is that I want to get to people out there that might not realize that there's plenty of laws that's formulated to protect the consumer. You may not realize that, because it's just not something that's discussed that much. I know that. That's why you need an attorney, because they know all about it. If they're doing the, you know, the creditors and debt collectors and all that, they know the laws, and they know any changes also. So just like if you're being harassed and they're violating the laws, you know, the creditor or debt collector, of course, the attorney, he's going to know that. But even if they are, but how are you going to prove that? That's why you need an attorney. He's going to enforce the laws. You know, there's plenty of laws on the books. You know that, right? Plenty. All kinds of laws. And then people get away with all of it because it's not enforced. It's just like this. And all these credit cards. The creditors know they're not supposed to call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. They all know that. So as long as they call you in between those hours, it's okay. Yeah, it is okay. But it's not okay to harass you. And that's where that's where the problem comes here. That problem I'm having, because I know about it. I've gone through this for years. So, and ever since I started with Marie, we had credit cards. You know, and I've had problems, you know, with the credit cards and with the harassment and all. This is not the first time. It's just the first time I actually got an attorney for this. Because I'm just like you are. I thought, well, how am I going to afford an attorney? It's going to cost me more than what I owe. So I didn't realize that. Okay, so Marie passes away, you know, last year in 2019. So now I'm stuck with all the bills and everything. So I tried my best. I sent letters and all. I was able to take care of the catalog accounts, you know, the store accounts, all the ones, the mail order ones, because I sent them letters and all. I sent certified mail, but not cease and desist. I sent them just like a heads up letter and told them what happened and all. And they contacted me by mail. They didn't do it by phone. Not those accounts. So I pretty much took care of that. It was all the MasterCard Visa ones. They're the ones that was giving problems. I tried the cease and desist letters for them. It didn't work. You know, you send it by certified mail. You put to whom it may concern. And you say, cease and desist all communications with me. And you don't have to say much more than that. They know what it means. So you sign it, date it, keep a copy. But the only problem with that is the creditors don't have to abide by it. I tried it anyway. No, they kept calling and all. So I didn't know what to do. I just can't put up with these calls all day long. I was keeping track of them, but more than one bank. So I started to write it all down, and then so let me look online, you know. So I looked up one of the banks that was calling me the most. It was calling me on the cell phone and the landline. I looked it up. And then this attorney pops up, and it has like a form to fill in. And you describe your situation and all. So I filled it all in. I explained everything about Marie passing away and all these accounts and everything. And can he help me? As soon as I sent it, boy, he answered me right away. Oh, I didn't expect it. I was surprised. So I picked it up. He says, I'm sorry for your loss. Accept my condolences. And I can't help you. I know you do need help. And all those accounts, he said, I'll have to start on some, and some I'll have to see, you know, about those calls and all. So I sent him all the information. He sent me his information. And I took care of all that, and all the calls stopped. I was really surprised. But when you have an attorney, they have to listen to him because he's contacting them. They know that they have to stop. He put litigation in on some of them. The ones he knew he probably could win the cases. That was pretty much taken care of. But I was still paying Merrick Bank. And that was the whole thing, you know. Because that Merrick Bank got it in 2018. Marie got it. It was for her. And she wanted it and everything. And, you know, I went through all this before. And I said, okay, Marie, it's a double the credit line. They give you $600 now. Oh, she was so happy. Oh, Frankie, I want it. And then after you make 7 on-time payments, they give you another $600. It wasn't a bad offer, but it's a no-frills kind of thing. No cash back, and you had to pay a membership fee, authorized user fee, all this stuff. You know, plus the finance charges, plus the late fee. Well, I told Marie, and then they asked on that, you know, on the application that Marie filled in, you know, you're going to give permission for them to call you with that auto dollar on the cell phone and all, and text messages and email and all that. I told Marie when she, you know, doing the application, and she said, well, what if I don't check it? I said, if you don't check it, they're not going to give you the credit. It might go through. They may say afterward no, or they may send you another form. But she said, okay, I don't care. Let them call me. You put the numbers there, right? She said, yeah. That's why they want it. They want to call you. She said, they're not going to call me if you're paying. I said, no, if you're paying, they're never going to call you. More than likely, no. So I said, okay. She submitted it and all. Went through. We got the cards. And she got a card for me and a card for her, of course. She's the card holder and I'm the authorized user, you know. So that's the whole. I'm going to show the cards here. Let's see. Here's one right here. If I can get it in there. Oh, there it is. There we go. So you can see the design. Well, let's see. There it is. The design is an eagle with the flag. Her name is on it. And expiration date June 2023. Well, we know how long that's what's going to happen during that time period. And pretty much it. It's got the chip and all. Not a bad card. I got one too now. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Be able to switch it here. Let me see. Okay. Let's see how that is. There it is. There it is. Same exact card. Same thing. Same thing. Merrick Bank. Eagle and everything. There's nothing different. So even though she's the card holder and I'm the authorized user. See, there it is. Not bad. I like the design. She picked it. She liked it. Okay, I think that's why I wanted to show that, you know, with all the things I'm doing here. Okay, so we got the cards. And I, activated them and all. She told her to sign the cards. I said, Marie, be careful when you're ordering over the phone. Just don't give your personal information, and just only give the credit card number, expiration date, and there's a code on the back, a security code. That's all. Oh, I understand. She said, she understood. But I said, you don't want to mess it up. Oh, no. And I saw she had written down some orders that she wanted, and I noticed she wrote down there, don't give personal information. I guess she wanted to make sure she doesn't mess up, No problems at all. So when Marie passed away, I kept paying it. So, because I know how much she liked that card, it was in memory of her, so I kept paying. And all of a sudden, my income is cut in half. I couldn't pay anymore. I said, if I pay this, I'm going to be behind on the rent. I couldn't do that, so I couldn't pay. So nothing happened. The first month, I got the statement. I showed a late fee, $39. I said, oh boy. So I wasn't late at all from all the payments I made. So I said, let's see what happens. Maybe they'll send me another notice, or maybe, in the mail to try to call me the right way. Nope. The call started. And they don't know who they're calling. It's directed to Marie. Remember, they don't know Marie passed away. So, okay, the call started. Landline and cell phone. Imagine that, both phones, all different times of the day. That's not harassment. Okay, you gave permission when she checked it, on the application, to allow them to use the auto dialer and all that, right? But does that permission mean that they can harass her? Not only that, when that permission, she questioned it, but she didn't know really anything about that. I questioned it because they're asking you to give permission to call you, but it's on the same, they're combining it with that offer. I think it's supposed to be done separately, with another form or something. And if they're not the ones making the call, say they have a provider doing it, that provider is supposed to have some kind of a form for you to sign, or on the computer or something to okay the calls. No, nothing like that. Just on there, and it says it on the cardholder agreement about you're allowing them to make those calls. So that means you're allowing them to harass you if they want to, right? Okay, so that was all done, and the calls that keep coming in like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it adds up. I mean, it was a bother me, and I know what it was, because I know the payment is late. I know what they're calling for. Their name comes on the caller ID, Merrick Bank, huh? And a phone number, and that's according to law, that's what they're supposed to do. That they're following it. There they are on the landline. So they have 6 different numbers. It's okay, they're all valid numbers. I call them, they all go back to the call center. So that part is okay, but now, on all these calls, I let it go for about 2 weeks. I don't want to let it go too long, because it's just getting, I don't want my phones tied up like that. I'm using my phones all the time. I'm talking to different people, the doctors and everything, So I have the phone log. I could see the pattern. They're calling on. I had 7 calls in one day. I didn't realize till I start, because I have 2 separate, logs for the calls. I noticed on the landline 5 calls in one day and 2 on the cell phone. That means all day long. That's a lot of calls. But it says in the cardholder agreement, they don't care who answers the phone. In this case, they're not going to know who answers the phone, because a robot is dialing those calls. Yeah, a robot. They're not dialing. There's not one person on all the calls I receive. Not one flesh and blood person dialed those calls. I have an answer machine on because I wanted to keep them from ringing. Because sometimes it'll ring until either it's picked up or it goes to recording. So I figured I just don't want to hear it ringing like that. I had it on the cell phone too, both. To answer the calls. So the answer machine picks it up. Nothing. No message. So when I saw it on the caller ID, I picked it up right away before they could even ring once. As soon as the first ring, I picked it up. Nothing. You might have dead air. Then if you keep waiting, it goes to like a busy signal, because that means that auto dollar went to another number. Start dialing, keep dialing numbers all day. So I don't know. I don't think that's even correct. Because I think they're supposed to, when they call you, like on the answer machine, leave a message, and that message is supposed to say, we're going to connect you to a representative. Or if I picked it up, it's supposed to be a recording. But there's not. They're doing another one of their, they're circumventing the law. Because what they're doing is, there is a recording. If you call back one of the numbers, then there's the recording. So see how they're doing that? So like I said, that's trying to get around the law. See, because it says, I think, that they're supposed to, when you pick it up, recording is supposed to say, well, we're going to connect you to a live representative. It doesn't do that. You call one of the numbers, it does. So see, that's another thing that they're doing that I think might be off limits. I don't know. The lawyer knows that. That's why I keep saying you need to get an attorney, so to make sure that your rights, your consumer rights, are not violated. Okay, so all those calls I was getting, and and it's the same all the time. Nobody's there. You can't respond to it. They don't want to leave a message, because if they leave a message, then that means they can't really call you back until you answer the message. So if they keep calling and leaving messages, I think that could be construed as harassment. So they're trying to make it so it looks like they're not doing anything, but just calling, but not in any way, shape, or form that would indicate that they're harassing you. I know it is. If you feel like you're being harassed with those calls, then you are. More than likely you are. Especially if it's by Merrick Bank or any other bank, you don't have to put up with it. Okay, so back to all these calls. I said, oh man, I got to stop this. I can't. I'm not going to put up with this. So I remember I had the lawyer for all the other accounts. I gave him a call, and I gave him all the information again. He said, "No, Merrick Bank. I deal with them all the time. They're one of the worst ones for the unethical practices. I said, okay. I gave him the information. The phone logs important. He filed litigation right away about those calls, and about calling me about a bill that's in somebody else's name. It's in Marie's name, not mine. We've been together over 40 years, and we didn't need a marriage license to stay together. So, of course, we're not legally married. And that way, they can't put it on me, that bill. Well, litigation's all done. I saw it. And the call stopped. Oh, first the cell phone. How come? I guess when he put in the litigation, I think it might have been maybe on the weekend, like on a Friday, and then a couple of days later, the landline stopped. So that was good. It was quiet for a while. I'm saying he's working on the case. I know there's litigation against Merrick Bank, so went about my business. I got calls, but not from them. The regular, robocalls you get, the telemarketers and all the scams and all that stuff. And that's normal. Okay, so I was shocked. In January 2nd, 2020, the phone. I said, well, I didn't pay much attention. Merrick Bank. I couldn't believe it, that they would start the calls again after a month and a half. So I took the phone log. I start writing them down every day, about 4 calls a day. It's pretty consistent, But they didn't call on Sunday. Is that another tactic? To try to harass you? I don't know if that indicates harassment, but what do you think? I'm getting 4 calls every day, and on Saturday, 4 calls, like in the evening, afternoon and evening. Sunday, no calls. Well, Monday, neither. Until Monday evening, Then 4 calls. Now, what is that supposed to do? Make you relax and say, maybe the lawyer stopped it because of the litigation, or maybe they just changing the pattern, or what? No, they're doing that it's like psychological warfare. They're trying to get you relaxed, and then they know it's more effective, then all of a sudden, I'm going to jump. I think the call stopped, and there it is again. The call's starting up again. Can't tell me that that's not contrived. That's not just having auto dollar. No, it isn't. There's programs for that, software. I think they better change it, because if it's bothering me that much, it must be bothering other people. Because these banks like Merrick Bank that do that, unethical, well, what they're doing is they're keeping the debt collectors in business, and they're keeping, well, the attorneys in business because of all that. So I'm going over this, trying to go over it. I'm trying to figure it out, first of all. That litigation, those it has to be, they have to be held accountable. Because I know I was harassed. But it's up to the attorney to prove it based on the laws that's formulated. He's going to use that. And the burden of proof is really on Merrick Bank. Did they harass me? Did they make those calls? Sure they did. And the fact that, you write those calls down is very important to get those times. Because as soon as he puts the times in the litigation, and their attorneys or whoever he contacts, they look at that, they look it up and say, yeah, this is exactly on the list the same way. So they know they can't say they didn't call you. And if they try to say, because I'm the one put the litigation in, they try to say that, well, the calls is not your account. Oh, no? Well, I can prove I got the calls. First of all, Maria passed away, when I was getting all those calls. And secondly, I'm writing them all down. So how could I write the calls down if I didn't get them? So I did get those calls. I'm the person that's got the calls, and I'm the person that's got the litigation. I just want to see what's going to happen with this case. I'm not that concerned too much, because as long as the calls stop. Now, remember I told you a month and a half, right? I start reading the cardholder agreement, and it says on there about a 45-day rule. I start figuring out, that month and a half, it was 45 days. And then that's when the call started. Again, I counted it up. It was around the 18th of November 2019. And there's 30 days in November. So you got 12 days there. And December had 31 days. That's 43. And January 1st, 2020 is 44. January 2nd is 45. And that's when the call started. So now, according to that, I don't think they should have made those calls. Because there's litigation in, and it's about making those calls. What, they think it's all right because they didn't call on the cell phone? They're proving that they're wrong. Why didn't they call on the cell phone then? Well, because they didn't get permission from me to call on the cell phone? They don't still know it's me. They say in that cardholder agreement, it doesn't matter who gets the calls. Well, I got them, and I got proof I got them, and that's why I say you need a phone log. You got to keep that. Because once they know that you got those calls and you got those times, and they want to show their call list, and it matches those times, they can't deny that they called you. So that's important, all this stuff that I'm bringing up about harassing phone calls. Now, because when they were calling me in January, I waited a couple of weeks again, and they were using 6 different numbers and all that. I guess 2 to 3 weeks, and I contacted an attorney. And I told him, and he said he'll reach out to them. He didn't seem too surprised by it, because he told me he's contacting them every 2 weeks. They can't say they don't know there's litigation in. So then about a week passed, and they're still calling. Like they still want to stop, no matter what, attorney or not. Finally it stopped, and I haven't had any calls since the end of January. Now I figured it out. Like the end of January, it was like the 28th. So there's 3 days in January. Then February was 29. That's 32. So what, the 13th of March, the calls are going to start again? I want to see. I doubt it this time, but you never know. They're so unethical. Because I know the lawyers contact them again. Because in that cardholder agreement, it says, if you get an attorney and you give him the name, address, and phone number, and he's supposed to contact them by mail. Or then if they can't contact him, after 45 days, they're going to start contacting you again. So I know that can't be right, because he contacted them when he put the litigation in, and he told me he's contacted them every 2 weeks, so there's some disconnect there with Merrick Bank and the things that are set up there. I think the disconnect is that, you got the collection department, the credit department, customer service department, billing department. I guess they've got that auto dollar set up, that if the calls start and they stop it, 45 days later, it's going to start up again unless someone, stops it. So whoever programmed that, maybe they didn't do that, so the call started up again. You see how it comes back to that auto dollar and all? And that robot dialing those calls, huh? So, I got enough here to say, I'm trying to do this to show you what can happen. Okay, my situation's a little different because Marie passed away. So, and I can't be responsible for it. I'm only an authorized user. We don't have no estate, and I don't have any family. I'm all by myself here. So, I don't know what they're going to do with it. But if they would have called when it started being late, instead of doing the robocalls, have a flesh and blood person call, I probably would have answered it knowing, or they left a message and tell them what happened. Once I told them what happened, pretty sure there wouldn't have been any calls. They'd probably give me a supervisor and tell me I need a death certificate and all that. I know the calls would stop. And there wouldn't have been no litigation, there wouldn't have been no lawyer, nothing. I wouldn't be doing all these videos either. So that could have been prevented. Now, that's what they need to set up. Some kind of unit, that they have people, not robots, people, making those calls on the people that are starting to be late. Now, of course, if they can't contact a person or a person can't pay, they still want to use the tactics, they still can. But I think they could stop a lot of the calls. It doesn't seem like they want to do that. I can't tell them what to do. They don't even want to abide by the law. How are they going to listen to somebody like me who's giving them constructive criticism? They should listen to me. I'm giving them good advice because I'm a consumer and I know how I feel. But like I said, my case is a little bit different. They could work with somebody, might call somebody and might say, look, I can't pay right now. I just lost my job. Can I get another job? They could maybe work it out with them. And they could avoid all those calls. I don't think they want to do it. They got so many accounts. That's their way of trying to collect it, before it goes to a third-party debt collector. Okay, so back to these accounts, Now, Merrick Bank, because it's like, no, I can't pay it. Not going to get paid. So what are they going to do? Eventually, they're going to have to write it off. But it is uncollectible already. And they probably are going to send it to, they'll probably they got so many debts. How come they sell it to debt collectors in bundles? Why? Because they know they write it off, and they're going to be able to take that from their taxes, so they don't lose there either. They get a little bit of money for the bundles that they sell. But a debt collector gets all these bills. Because you got scavenger debt collectors. You have some that are reputable, but most of them looks like they're making money off of it. They get enough debts, and they keep trying to collect them. Now in this case, the debts they get, like people passed away like Marie, they get that debt. That's uncollectible. Debts are written off, uncollectible. Debts past the statute of limitation, they're really uncollectible. How about when people go bankrupt? All those debts are supposed to be discarded. They get those. Now, they're trying to collect all these debts. And they make all kind of deals, and you think you owe them the money. You don't, really. Unless in the very beginning, they might have if a reputable company might have a creditor contact them to make a deal to try to collect the money. That's possible. I wouldn't make any deals with debt collectors, because you're just going to end up getting stuck. Because if something could be, if you don't know that the statute of limitations, it could have run out already. If it's an old debt, you're going to make an arrangement with them to pay it. You start the clock running. Now you do owe them the money. Just like in my case now, I have all these bills back from November of 2019 that the lawyer has stopped the calls, but I still owe the money. But after 4 years, and the statute of limitations in Pennsylvania, they'll all be legally forgiven. So why would I want to start any deals with anything, So this is the things you need to know and be aware of. I'm pretty sure every day, since I've been doing these, every day now for, they say almost 2 months. And I'm sure every time I do one of these, somebody out there is probably getting harassing phone calls. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe next week. But you can't rule it out. It could happen to you. So you should get an attorney. Now the attorney that I use, he's very good. I always give him I always endorse him. and all the testimonials, because he helped me so much. I wished I could pay him, you know. So this is my way of paying him. You know, I mention him in my videos and all. So if you need a good attorney and you're having trouble with creditors or debt collectors and all, and even if you're thinking of going bankrupt, he could probably help you with that too. Okay, so let me give you some information about this attorney. He's a consumer advocate attorney. He doesn't charge any for his services or consultation. It's a toll-free number, and you don't have to avail yourself of your services if you don't want to. There's no obligation, but you should want to, because he can really help you. Hopefully that he takes your case. You really have nothing to lose. You don't have to pay him, and the calls will stop, and he might even get you some money, depending on the laws that were violated. But he gets paid from the bank. Merrick Bank would have to pay him and the court costs if you win the case. Of course, if he doesn't win the case, well, you still don't have to pay. He's just going to have to take a loss there, you know. So I would keep all this in mind, what I'm telling you. I'm really trying to help you. Because those calls, I don't know how you could stand it. See, I could stand it if I had to, because I know what it is. And see, when it was down to just Merrick Bank, only one, so I was able to write it all down. It's a nuisance, you know. Every day you're doing things. In fact, Dan, I got to write all these calls down. You don't want to let it go more than a day, because they're going to be on the caller ID. It's going to be harder to, get them in the right order and everything. I mean, you can, like what I was doing, because I'm on the computer a lot. I went in email, and I put in where it says subject. I put in Merrick Bank, harassing phone calls, and then I phone log or whatever. I went down to where it says compose, and I set it up. I just put on one line, on one line I put Merrick Bank, and I put cell number. And then I put the date, I put the date, the day, the phone number they used, and a comment. I didn't put the time. I put the time underneath, across the second line, because since they were calling me on the same number every day, but they used 6 different numbers. So by doing it that way, instead of having 4 lines for every day, I only had 2. So I did the same for the landline and the cell phone. So it's a lot easier. Now you can do the email, and every day you can update it. Okay, so you can put the cell phone on, start it, and then you can skip down, leave a couple of spaces, and then do the landline and put in the calls. Every day you can do that. Because every day when you do the cell, it pushes down, when you do the space, pushes it down, so you can keep adding to both of them. When you get finished, it's going to go to draft, and the next day you hit draft, and it comes back up again, and you fill it in. You can keep doing that. So if you do get an attorney, then all you do is you just put his email address in there, and you can send it. But after that, you can't add to it anymore. You'd have to start a new one. So I just mentioned that. As far as the cell phone goes, since that doesn't come up on the caller ID, it just comes up the phone number. Once I knew the phone number was Merrick Bank, I went in and I put it in contacts, and I said Merrick Bank. So after a week or so, all the phone calls were coming up, and it said Merrick Bank on the cell phone, and it said it on the landline. Now, if you need a good attorney, I'm sure that he is. And his name is Paul Mankin, M-A-N-K-I-N. Toll-free number 800-219-3577. Again, 800-219-3577. You can call him anytime. Now, he's in San Diego, California, and I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, if he helped me with these cases, he can help you no matter where you're at. On these kind of cases, I don't know about any other litigation, but this he can. So I'll also give his information in the description and all. So now, I went over pretty much everything here. Let's see what else that I could cover. Now I'm going to mention here that it's kind of ironic. I'm getting all these calls. I'm being harassed, by Merrick Bank or any bank, I guess, as you might call it. So, I said I need some extra money. So I start, looking into clinical trials. I didn't get them. I was getting turned down. I was too healthy. I didn't qualify. So finally I got one. And then they pay you, every time you go. So I got one, and then when after I was screened and I passed, they gave me a debit card. It's a MasterCard. I said to myself, I'm getting a credit card now. When I wasn't going to get any more credit cards, but this is a different kind of a credit card. This is I'm getting paid. So they put on the money. When you go there, I get $100 for a visit. They put it on there. I get the money right away. I can use it, whatever I want to do. And that way I won't be getting harassed for that. I won't be getting late fees, nothing. And yet I still have a credit card. I use it and all, no problem. Every time I go, I can't wait to go. This is for 6 months, this clinical trial that I have. And so far, I've gotten a few $100s already. And I really needed it. It really helped me. And it's something you could think about. They even gave me a smartphone, so I could keep track, a diary. So I got a smartphone. I got the credit card, the MasterCard, and also it's something you can do. I mentioned it because if you're having financial problems, maybe you can do it. Because it's not that much. You don't have to go that much. I went for a lot of tests. Remember, all the tests are free. With that clinical trials, they're not going to charge you. So I got all kind of ultrasound, MRI, all these tests, all the blood work and urine tests, all the tests, and no charge. Not only that, they pick you up and bring you back. Most of them do. And I live kind of far. It takes like about 45 minutes from where I'm at, so I'd have a lot of trouble trying to get there and back. They call you the day before. They tell you the driver will be there in the morning, whatever. I'm ready, I go, and then when I get done with everything, I come back. So there's something that you might be able to do if you need some extra money. All you have to do is look up online, clinical trials. And then they'll come up and they tell you how many miles and what one. All the different ones will come up. I know I could do a few other ones. I'm looking for the ones. There's some that pay a lot of money. Depends. I know, the outpatient not as much. But the ones when you stay inpatient, they pay a lot. There's one that they have here, but I don't qualify for it. It's for schizophrenia. I won't qualify for that. I know that. They already told me. I asked. You stay for 3 weeks. They feed you and everything. And it's $300 a day. Look at that. They put it on the card and all. So for 3 weeks, you could have like about $6,000. So that's the way, if you really need money, there's a chance to get it. Without worrying about getting a credit card and owing that money. At least you earned it. It's good for me. I know they're going to have that clinical trials pretty soon for that new virus that's out there. So they're going to they're pretty much going to have it set up pretty soon. I don't know if they're going to have it in the area where I'm at. The coronavirus, I'd probably do it, But I know I'm a healthy volunteer because I already got turned down because I was too healthy. Another clinical trial I went to was for depression. I didn't get it. I wasn't depressed enough. So you got to find the one that you qualify for. You can still go. A lot of times they'll let you go. If you don't qualify, they'll still pay you. It's something to think about if you needed some extra money. I only mention it because of that MasterCard. You can get credit. It is credit. I'm using it as credit. Just I'm not going to be harassed for that. I'm just, I think it might help somebody out there. Realize it. I never did it because I was working all the time, and then retired, and we combined our money, and I paid the bill. So I wasn't really looking into it. I knew about it because you see all the, the medications that come out. They tell you it was on clinical trials and all. That's how they develop a lot of the medications and a lot of things that, for us to benefit from. That's it. And I covered even that. I even threw that in. I'm trying to cover in this particular video, a lot of things. I think that's about it. Now, if you have, you can complain, to the Consumer Protection Bureau, Better Business Bureau, Federal Trade Commission, and your Attorney General. I put in a complaint to the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, and I give them all the information, the call logs and everything, the phone logs that I have, and they responded. It took about, I guess, a week to 10 days, 2 weeks. I got a letter back from them. They told me they're going to contact Merrick Bank, and Merrick Bank will have 21 days to answer them. Now, of course, they can't make them if they don't want to. Well, but in this case, I have a litigation. So that's what they're... See, they don't intervene necessarily. They might go to another agency with it. They get enough complaints. So you should complain if you want to. But you can do it online. I did that one by mail. I'm just mentioning all these things because trying to cover as much as I can. But the harassing phone calls, that's the main thing. You're probably saying, well, how can you prove that? Well, that's how they're getting away with it. Because they think nobody knows about that. You think, well, that must be normal because they're doing it to everybody. So they must be allowed to do it. Well, they're not allowed to harass you. Whether you get permission or not, they're not allowed to do it. Like I said, they get away with it. That's where attorney comes in, to enforce the laws. He's like the credit card police, to come in there. That's why you need them. I would keep it all in mind what I'm saying. It's good information. I hope it was helpful, everything I mentioned here. Because, you can go back. If you want to look at any of these with this Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the robot, all you got to do is look it up online. You don't have to look it up on YouTube. You can just do it in your search on your computer, and they'll all come up. All of them. That I've been doing, they all come up. You don't have to put part 1 or part 10, none of that. They all come up. And then, plus on YouTube. So I already know because I checked it. So you want to check into them, all of these videos I've been doing. I cover pretty much the same thing. The main thing is you should get an attorney. Again, I'll say this is a consumer advocate attorney that I have. His name is Paul Mankin. Toll-free number, and it's 800-219-3577, 800-219-3577. So even if you're not sure, you're having, even a debt collector, if you're having a problem with it, maybe some bills you couldn't pay from before, give him a call. Pretty sure he can help you. He wants to. He's a consumer advocate attorney. I don't know, I can cover anything else here. But one of the things that really ticked me off was when they start calling in January. I didn't do anything. When in November of 2019, the attorney stopped the call. So I'll see what happens. There's litigation in and all. So let it be, let them work on it, Oh, the call started in January. That really got me upset. That's why I started all these videos. I'm still not over it, That's how much the harassment, I'm that annoyed over it. I'm still annoyed. That's why I've been doing all this, to prove it. But I don't want anybody else to have to put up with it. So like I said, if you are, it doesn't have to be Merrick Bank, any bank. You're getting those calls and you just say, well, I'll tolerate it, or I'll go bankrupt or something to stop it. Well, you can go bankrupt unless you, want to move, unless you really got a lot of debt. You figure, well, I need a fresh start, and then might be a good choice for you. But I know I done it, and Maria's done it. I don't want to do it again. Doesn't, it's on your credit report too. I think it's from 7 to 10 years. That's a bad mark on your credit report. Bankruptcy, anybody looks at that, you won't be able to get a house or anything with that on there. They won't want to give it to you. That really mess up your credit. If you have some late payments on there and something written off and all that, it's not as bad. It shows you did have credit. And a lot of times you will get offers, You might get offers for cards, even though, because they know you don't owe anything if you go bankrupt. You'll get credit card offers. Because they know you don't owe anything now, so they figure you were paid at one time, you could pay them. This information I'm giving, I think, is valuable. and Merrick Bank. They need to change the system. See, it's normal. It's the norm for them to do it. They've been doing it. Like I said in the videos before, a one-trick pony, huh? Right now, that's what they really are. If that's all they're going to do is call, there's no live person contact you. I had over 60 calls in November 2019 and over 80 calls in January 2020. Look at that. And not one time did a person dial the number. So that's what you have to, whatever your situation is, I would pay attention to what I'm telling you, because it's just nice to have an attorney, because if something happens, you have him, like me. He took care of all those accounts I had and all, and he got settlements and all, and I even got some money out of it, and then everything was quiet. See, and it started up again, but I had the attorney. I contacted him, and they kept calling, and he stopped them from calling the second time. So it's good to have an attorney. So even if you might not call them now, maybe later on, or maybe some debts have been coming in. Because, the attorney contacts these debt collectors and creditors. Usually, it stops a lot of stuff, Again, I'm going to try to get to everybody I can. That's why I've been doing these pretty much every day. I'm putting all the information out there. I'm trying to bring it to everybody's attention, because you don't have to withstand it. I'm sure most people don't realize it. Because when you're having a lot of problems, financial problems especially, you don't think straight. You're concerned about, your well-being right there. You can't say, I can't pay those accounts. Can't pay them, not just Merrick Bank, any of them. So that's where you need to get an attorney. So I'm trying to get this out there, this information, to as many people as I can. The only way I can do it is through social media. And that's why I've been putting these videos out a lot right now. This is the 30th, with this Invisible Man gimmick. And now I started with this Duet gimmick, because I'm trying to bring attention, to these videos, I think that's about it for now. If anything occurs, I'm going to probably do some more. If there's anything updated, like with this case that I have, I think that's about it. I hope you learned something from this video, and I appreciate your time. And have a great day.